Right, welcome back. It's been nearly 2 months now since I've stopped working on the Corvette. Just to give you an update on the Corvette, I've emailed Colin. I emailed him after a month and he said he's got a lot of work on at the moment, but he's doing a project at the moment. Once he's finished that project, he's going to get onto my decals. So there's no rush for the Corvette. In the meantime, I'm doing a restoration stroke conversion project. Now, some of you may or may not know, especially if you followed my channel from the beginning, I actually have built two Titanics. I built the 2012 Revel 100th anniversary edition, and I've also built the 2020, the one I built in 2020, which was the Academy 1998 1/400 scale, which I did during the lockdown when I was on furlough. Cut a long story short, before I built the 2021, I actually stupidly gave my Revel Titanic to my auntie because she really liked it, and at the time I needed the space. And then about a year later I thought, you know what, I want to get that back because I really want to do Britannic. Well, my auntie tragically passed away a couple of months ago, and I spoke to my cousin Lee, and he said, yes, she's still got the Titanic. I didn't realise you gave it to her for free, but if you want it back, I can get it back for you. Because my cousin Roy, he now lives in Carol's house because it's council. And he said, I'll ask Roy, see if he's got it, and I'll get it back for you. But don't worry, you're not going to have to pay Roy any money because we all know how greedy Roy is. Well, he come back a couple of hours later, and the Titanic is not in the condition that I gave it to Carol because Roy, in his infinite wisdom, decided to let his kids play with it in water. Unfortunately, it has been damaged, but it's only superficial from what I can see, and I will need to get some new parts, and I will need to get some aftermarket parts to convert it into Britannic, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a job. It's just, I'm just shocked that he let his kids play with it. So here's what I've got back. Right, so here's my 2012 Titanic by Revel, and you can instantly see where the main damage is. It's on the masts and the rigging. So if I pull that up, you can see that the mast is all gone. It's half snapped off. One of the ladders is snapped off in half. The other ladder on this side is intact. One of the spare anchor's missing. The little L-shaped crane's missing. Some of the crane arms are missing or coming off. And if you look at the rigging, it's just draped. The rear mast is okay, but if I turn this arse end on, you can see right there it's bent right at the top. So those two ladders are intact. Again, some of the cranes missing there. Some of the crane arms. And if I go around the back here, the centre propeller's missing. So I've got to get one of those. And also you can see it hasn't been dusted in a long time, so I've got to give that a bit of a dust. The lifeboat stations, I mean, still in good nick, so I can reuse those. Looks like a bit of the superstructure might have come off there as opposed to the deck itself. We'll see what I can do with that. I mean, the back rigging's not too bad, but that mast is going to have to come off with the ladders. Also, the flagpole at the back here is missing as well. So I could actually shoot Roy for letting his kids play with this. I really, really could. But generally, it's not in bad nick. I mean, once I cut all this rigging off, I'm also going to cut off the rigging for the I'm also going to cut off the rigging for the smokestacks because I've got to remove the caps, and I'm going to repaint those smokestacks because I'm going to be converting this into Britannic. Right, so the major things I've got to do is I've got to buy the proper crane davits, the 5 sets of crane davits. There's an extra deck on the aft stern section, the poop deck, whatever you want to call it. This has got to be repaired as well because this has come loose on the superstructure. Now, when it comes to the parts for Britannic, I'm going to have to get these 3D printed. So I've got my Xbox on. That's what the cranes look like, and there are people out there who've actually built these for a model. You can get them from the wooden models as well. So I've seen some on Shapeways, so I'm just going to pause this a sec. Right, so here's one of the Shapeways links for the 5 sets of davits. Now these are in 1700 by a chap called Gordak Miniatures. Now I've emailed Gordak, I've messaged him over Shapeways, and I haven't received any response. I'm hoping he can resize them to 1400. Right, so then he also does the aft deck, 3 parts. Also, that is in 1700, and it's not too bad in price. But again, I've emailed Gordak about these through the messenger on Shapeways, and I haven't received any response. Now the aft deck, I've recently bought Britannic on DVD, and you can see there's a lot of detail on that aft deck. It's a lot more, so that will have to go on top of there. But like I said, it's just trying to get them in 1/400 scale. I mean, there's another guy called Titanic Bits, and he's on Shapeways as well, and I haven't heard anything back from him either. So that's why I'm going to need your help. Now, I've seen people on YouTube building these, and they've actually scratch built the aft deck and the crane davits. I think I'm probably going to end up doing that myself, to be honest. But if there's any of you out there that know anybody that's built Britannic, especially in 1/400 scale, if they use 3D printed parts, could you, if you know anybody that prints 3D printed parts, and that, especially if they're based in the UK, if they could help me. I mean, I put it on the RMS official modelling page group on Facebook, and this one guy came back to me, David, I think his name was, and I don't know if he was Australian or American, and he wanted $450, and I'm like, no, because I'm budgeting £100 to fully restore and convert this into Britannic, because I know the 3D printed parts are not going to be cheap. But if there's anybody out there that knows where I can get these in 1/400 scale, again, especially if they're based in the UK, because it'll save me a lot on postage, or if there's any reference websites, because I've drawn a blank, to be honest, on trying to get the reference website where I might be able to scratch build them myself. With the davits, I was looking at trusses that go on train bridges for train sets, and I was looking at those. There's actually a train set shop in Bilston Market, on the indoor market, but he wasn't open today. So that's an idea as well. So any of you out there, if you can let me know what I could possibly use, or if there's anybody 3D printed parts, that would be very gratefully received. So with my rambling finished, I've probably bored you to death and sent you to sleep. It's time to get cracking on with cutting the rigging off my Titanic model.